back in the car. For 2 hours.
Drove down the street, pulled over, sat there for 2 to 3 hours. I don't know how long it was. And I wish I remembered that entire, 2 to 3 hours.
But then you realize it's the best that you felt since
there was a million realizations that came from that. And one of them was, it was the best and worst that I felt.
Oh.
It was the best because I could feel the adrenaline. And I could still feel the good chemicals from that activation.
From this high stress environment.
Yes, but it was the worst because it was also the realization that time for me had passed.
And that's your first clue that there's like this inversion happening where the lack of traumatic stress, you're actually craving that stressful environment.
Yeah,
you want it.
The realization for me was when I'm running towards a fire and then I realize I'm not a firefighter and it's not my job. And then I stop and head back. And the realizations, the fundamental realization was this isn't normal. That was the most basic, obvious, glaring thing was that is not normal behavior. Now, it took me time to realize it that night or morning at that point. But what I did come to the conclusion of was, well, actually, it is normal for me.
For you, yeah.
It is normal for me because I like that. Anytime anything happens bad, I feel great. I've come across accidents, severe accidents. I've told you the story. Came across a car that had hit a 18-wheeler, burst on fire. The freaking truck was on fire. We had to put a tourniquet on the guy. Literally the wheels on the 18-wheeler were exploding.
But that's where you feel clear-headed.
And I couldn't have been more happy.
When you first went to write the book and you introduced this idea of LTSD to me, really wildly fascinating because I think it's very interesting because I think a lot of warriors, it's kind of that secret of like, hey, honestly, I feel the worst when it's time to relax, to go on vacation, to go to sleep. That's actually when I feel my anxiety going up.
Yeah.
But when there's high stress or chaos, I turn on. I feel invincible and great. And the wild part was, you started with this, told me your story, told me your experience. You'd shared it a little bit and we started you were showing me dozens, hundreds of messages of people saying like you're literally describing.
Hundreds.
That's why you said it's not a theory anymore.
No.
At that point we were like, okay.
Yeah, we have the evidence. We have the receipts.
Well, and then we took the next step, which was can we research, and that was a lot of my job too, and we both did it as we were writing the book.
We knew it was true experientially.
Yeah.
We knew it was true from my experience. We scientific, provable basis, a medical basis or a scientific basis. We now know it does.
Yeah.
Now, let me be fair here. I'm kind of selling myself short. I usually downplay everything. I will I will adequately play this.
Accurately.
I knew that there was a scientific basis.
Yeah.
I knew it 100%. There was no doubt in my mind. When I figured this out, and I'll explain it now what I figured out, but post-traumatic stress disorder assumes a basis of no traumatic stress, a homeostasis, if you will. I love that word.
At least it's a baseline setting.
A baseline of no traumatic stress. The baseline of LTSD is traumatic stress. So if you were raised in an environment and grew up in an environment of traumatic stress, that is your baseline, that is your homeostasis, that is your normal. Therefore, I figured out when I came up with this theory, I also came up with the term, I am reverse wired, which not the best term, but we'll go with it. I was reverse wired. And what I mean that, or rewired, inverted, opposite. Meaning a normal person grows up, I shouldn't say normal, a person who grows up in a non-traumatic environment, a non-traumatic stressful environment, their nervous system gets wired for no traumatic stress in the environment.
So you feel calm when your environment is calm.
When the environment is calm, they're calm because that's their reality, and that is the environment that they grew up in. So therefore, that is the environment that their brain developed for. Their brain has to, and why are the brains doing this, by the way? Let's just cover that. Survival,
Adaptation.
Our brains as children change and evolve, or evolve may not be the right word, but they change to the environment at hand. They adapt, there's the word. They adapt to survive. So a child in a traumatically stressful environment, their brain wires itself to normalize that traumatically stressful environment. So therefore, they are calm in chaos. The environment is chaos. Their brain probably started chaotic in chaos, but then the brain goes, we can't continue to be chaotic in this chaos. We have to be calm in this chaos to survive, because that's what survival requires. So our brain rewires itself, restructures itself to be calm in chaos.
See chaos as normal.
To see chaos as normal, to have chaos be the default or default setting or homeostasis, the default programming, for lack of a better term. Here's what this dichotomy creates. A normal person, again, let's use, and again, normal in quotations here. I'm going to make up a term.
Let's hear it.
Nervous system divergent.
I like
Not
it.
neurodivergent, nervous system divergent.
nervous
So
system.
a normal person who has grown up in a non-traumatic, non-chaotic environment, therefore their brain has wired itself for calm. Therefore, when the environment is calm, they're calm. If the environment were to get chaotic, their brain would be chaotic. Okay? Because they're wired for calm in calm. Why are they wired for calm and calm? Because calm is it's normally what the environment is. Okay. Now, let's say, that person grows up that way. Now they're 20 years old, just making something up, and they get into a severe tornado. Making something up. A tornado happens, right? And they're freaking bad stuff happens. Okay, it could be that. It could be a car accident, motorcycle accident, a boating accident. There's literally a million examples. That happens during the event, which is chaotic. Their brains are chaotic. Then they have echoes of that event in a normal nervous system. We'll get into nervous system later. So then what happens is that person is now having echoes, for lack of a better term, of that event. PTSD, we all know the signs and symptoms. I won't bore you with it, but that is a normal person, a normal calm and calms person, to now being chaotic in chaos. Now the environment goes back to calm. Okay? And what they're doing now is having certain chaos feelings when the environment is calm. Does that make sense? So they are on edge. They're hypervigilant. All these different things, because their nervous system or their PTSD is them fearing, for lack of a better term, that event is going to happen again. Preparing for that event to happen again. It's on guard. It's anticipating. It's ready for that event to happen again. Okay. Conversely, LTSD. Person has a traumatically stressful environment, chaotic environment. They are now adapting. Their brain and nervous system specifically normalize it. Now their brain is calm when the environment is chaos. The reverse of that is now true. When the environment is calm, their brain is chaos. Why? This is the question that people, I don't think, understand about this concept. We've already covered with PTSD that when you've experienced the alter event, your brain is worried about it going into the non-typical state. So a person that is comfortable in chaos, once they experience calm, but they're used to chaos, their brain, those people's brain will fear calm, just like the other person's brain will fear chaos.
Because it's still the atypical state.
It's still the atypical state, and it's not what it's wired. It's not what its default is for.